Snow drifted silently outside the tall glass windows of Alexander Reed's penthouse. The city glittered below, Christmas lights flickering like tiny embers, but inside his apartment, everything felt hollow. The 40-year-old CEO of Reed Enterprises had everything the world envied: power, money, luxury. Yet, as the echo of carols floated faintly from the streets below, his chest ached with the emptiness of another Christmas spent alone. He sat before the fireplace, sipping untouched wine, staring at the golden family photo of his parents, gone years ago in an accident. He'd buried his grief under work, climbing the ladder of success so fiercely that no one dared to get close. Not friends, not love, just silence and deals signed in boardrooms. When his assistant called earlier to wish him Merry Christmas, Alexander barely mumbled a reply. He had turned down every party invitation, every gathering. Christmas, to him, was just another reminder of what he didn't have: family. But fate had different plans that night. At around 10 p.m., the doorbell rang. Alexander frowned. He wasn't expecting anyone. Pulling his robe tighter, he opened the door, and froze. There was no one there. Only a soft flurry of snow swept across the hallway floor. But then he noticed it, a small envelope tucked neatly under the doormat. The paper was crumpled, childish handwriting scrawled on the front: "To the man in the big house with the lights." He glanced down the hall, but whoever left it was gone. Curious, he tore it open. Inside were 3 different colored crayons scribbling across one sheet. The letter read, "Greater than, Dear Mr., we saw you looking sad from your window. Mommy says Christmas is for everyone, even people alone. We don't have much, but we made cookies for you. They're not perfect, but they're made with love. Merry Christmas from Lily, Lucy, and Lana, the triplets in apartment 2B." A small paper bag lay next to the envelope, cold, slightly crushed, with 3 uneven cookies inside. Alexander stood there in shock. No one had ever done something so human for him in years. He looked out at the snow again, and for the first time, he noticed laughter from the apartment courtyard, children's laughter. Without realizing it, he smiled. That night, instead of pouring another glass of wine, he set the cookies on a plate, poured himself a glass of milk, and whispered, "Merry Christmas, girls." He bit into one of the cookies. It was burnt at the edges but filled with warmth, like childhood memories long forgotten. The next morning, Alexander found himself doing something completely uncharacteristic. He baked, or at least, he tried. The cookies turned out awful, but he laughed at himself for the first time in years. Around noon, he walked to apartment 2B with a small red box of chocolates and a thank you card. When he knocked, the door opened to reveal 3 identical little girls. Big brown eyes, rosy cheeks, and matching Christmas sweaters that had seen better days. "Are you Mr. from the big house?" one asked shyly. "Yes," Alexander said with a small chuckle. "And you must be the triplets who saved my Christmas." They giggled, and before he could say more, a tired-looking woman appeared behind them. Her face was kind, though marked with fatigue. "I'm sorry, sir, if the girls disturbed you. They have big hearts but sometimes too much courage." "No disturbance at all," Alexander said softly, handing her the box. "Your daughters reminded me what Christmas really means." The woman hesitated, then smiled gratefully. "Thank you. I'm Emily. I didn't think our little note would reach someone like you." "Someone like me," he repeated. "A man who looks like he owns half the city," she teased lightly. He chuckled, realizing she wasn't wrong. But something about her warmth, the genuine kindness in her tone, disarmed him completely. Emily invited him in, just for cocoa, and for reasons he couldn't explain, he accepted. The tiny apartment was cluttered yet cozy. The scent of cinnamon and old pine filled the air. The girls were showing off their handmade ornaments, proudly explaining which one was whose. Alexander felt something strange, something he hadn't felt in decades: belonging. For hours, he laughed, listened, and even helped them hang their final ornament, a tiny star made of foil. As evening fell, he returned to his penthouse. Yet for the first time, the silence didn't feel heavy. He placed the girl's star on his own tree and whispered, "Thank you, Lily, Lucy, and Lana, and thank you, Emily." That night, he didn't fall asleep thinking about business mergers or profits. He dreamt of laughter, small hands tugging at his sleeve, and cocoa shared in a modest living room. Something inside him had shifted. A spark had been lit where cold emptiness once lived. But he didn't know then. This was only the beginning. The letter was just the first miracle. The next one would change his life forever. A week passed since that Christmas Eve. The snow began to melt, but the warmth in Alexander's heart remained. He couldn't stop thinking about the girls and their mother. Every morning at the office, he found himself smiling when he recalled their laughter. His employees were shocked. The famously cold and demanding CEO was suddenly cheerful, polite, even generous. Rumors spread like wildfire. One afternoon, he decided to visit them again. He carried gifts this time: educational toys, books, and new sweaters. When he knocked, the triplets screamed in delight, "Mr. CEO!" and ran into his arms. Emily appeared, clearly embarrassed. "You really didn't have to do that," she said softly. "I wanted to," he replied. "Your daughters reminded me that kindness doesn't need a reason." They spent hours together, playing board games and sharing stories. Alexander learned that Emily was a single mother, working 2 jobs since her husband passed away 3 years earlier. The girls barely saw her because of her shifts. Yet, despite everything, their home radiated love and hope. As days turned into weeks, Alexander found excuses to visit, helping fix a leaky sink, reading bedtime stories, or just sharing dinner. The more time he spent with them, the more he felt alive. Emily, too, began to smile more, her exhaustion slowly replaced by joy. One evening, as snow fell again, the girls sat on the floor drawing pictures. "Mr. CEO," Lily asked, "why are you always alone in your big house?" Alexander froze. The innocent question hit deeper than she could imagine. "Because I forgot what family feels like," he said quietly. Lucy tilted her head. "Then you can borrow hours until you remember." He laughed, but his eyes glistened with tears. "Deal," he whispered. Over the next months, borrowing turned into belonging. He became part of their lives, celebrating birthdays, attending school plays, and helping Emily whenever he could. His company noticed his transformation. Employees said the CEO was human again. Even business improved because he treated everyone with more empathy and vision. But fate wasn't done testing him yet. One morning, Emily collapsed at work. The doctor said she'd been hiding a serious heart condition, made worse by overwork and stress. When Alexander heard the news, he rushed to the hospital, trembling with fear. The girls clung to him, crying. "Please don't let mommy go," Lana sobbed. He held them close, whispering, "She won't. I promise." For days, he stayed by Emily's side, covering her hospital bills without hesitation. When she finally woke, weak but smiling, he took her hand and said, "Emily, I've spent my whole life chasing things that never filled me. You and your girls gave me something real. Let me take care of you, all of you." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Alexander, we don't need your money, just your heart." He smiled softly. "Then you already have it." Months later, under the gentle glow of spring sunlight, Alexander moved them into his home. Not as charity, but as family. The penthouse that once echoed with loneliness now rang with laughter, crayons, and bedtime stories. On Christmas that year, the triplets handed him another letter. This one read, "Dear Daddy, thank you for keeping your promise. We love you forever, Lily, Lucy, and Lana." He broke down, hugging them all at once. Emily watched with tears in her eyes, whispering, "Merry Christmas, Alex." "Merry Christmas," he replied, his voice trembling with emotion. "You saved me." And that night, as the tree sparkled with the same foil star from their old apartment, Alexander realized life had finally come full circle. Love had found him, not in the boardroom or luxury, but in the smallest act of kindness, written in crayon by 3 little girls. He stood by the window, watching snow fall again, whispering into the quiet night, sometimes, miracles don't come wrapped in gold. Sometimes, they come as letters left in the snow. Sparkles, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more beautiful, emotional stories like this one. Your support helps us share more love, hope, and miracles with the world. Red Heart.